is going on, my people? This is your host Blanche Eden with Black Trending News. Tonight we are recording episode 34, and we are gonna be talking about T.I., quote, setting it straight about his little story that he disgusted most people with two or 3 weeks ago on the Ladies Like Us show, a podcast, public podcast, very public podcast. Probably by now millions of people have heard how he regulates his daughter's sexual activity, I guess, or vagina. And it was, I did a video on it. I expressed how disgusted I was. I'm going to play the discussion that happened on the first time on the podcast, the original discussion. I didn't play it in the last one because I did not want to make this about him. But this episode is going to be a bit more about T.I. because he was on Red Table Talk, Jada Pinkett's Facebook platform, Red Table Talk. Great show. Seen, a couple of episodes, and I like it overall. I think personally that Jada Pinkett took it very easy on him. When he first arrived to the Red Table, he said that he didn't want anybody to take it easy on him. He said he's ready. He's ready for the bullets. And I felt like they took it very easy on him. I think there was a lot of smiling and a lot of, cooing and back rubbing and pacifying. It's okaying, answering his questions for him, kind of feeding him, a lot of that. So just some things here. One of the first things he says is that he admits the conversation was a joke. He was joking around. Where do I start with that? You know what I mean? How is a conversation about sex with your kids a joke, but you're so serious about mentioning her hymen several times in the conversation? That just doesn't sound like a joke. People just usually don't go around joking about their daughters' hymens on a national public podcast or radio. People just don't do that. This is the first time he would probably go down in history as being the only man that went on the radio or a podcast to speak about his daughter's hymen and vagina. He's probably going to go down in history for that, because I don't think any man is going to do it after this, response that he got. I don't think any man's going to, any man has the sense to do it. Anyway, he also goes on to say, we took it extremely literal. I don't get it. How are we supposed to take it? Were we supposed to know what was in your mind? Were we supposed to be able to decipher what was real, what wasn't? We're listening to an interview, under the assumption you're being honest, because that's what most people do when they're asked the question, especially, on a radio station. We usually tell the truth, right? We're assuming the person is telling the truth. So, again, a lot of excuses. He also goes on to say, she was 15 or 16 at the time, but in his original recording, I quote, he says, as of Deja being 18, her hymen is intact. He said that in the conversation that I'm getting to play, and I don't even know if I should play it. I don't know if I should even play it. It's just so, I can't stand all the laughing and the cackling in the background, and the girls are just really, I expected more from them. Another thing he goes on to say is both parents were there, which is even worse in my eyes. Let me know if it's worse in your eyes in the comment section. If it was just him, it was bad. Now that mom and dad is there, and mom is just kind of sitting there allowing this and not maybe stepping in or saying anything, is even more, I guess, shocking, because it's like, all right, both parents are there, and it's still happening. So mom is okay with it, I'm assuming, because he never mentioned that she wasn't okay with it. Listen, it still doesn't justify what happened. He also goes on to say he's not sorry to all the strangers and the people out there that were offended by what he said. He's not sorry to any of us. He's only sorry to Deja, and I believe he said her mom, because he did say her mom was upset that he discussed it publicly, and upset is an understatement. I would have okay. I also didn't like how he was just cutting off Jada Pinkett just smoothly. Some people are really good at cutting you off. They just swoop right in. We've all done it. We've had conversations and we just, we don't want to hear what the other person has to say. We don't care. And I really don't feel like he genuinely cared. I think he was acting like he wanted the education from the three ladies. I think he was flattering them and, and being Rico Suave and just going, oh yeah, I want to know what you guys can teach me. But honestly, he kept cutting. He cut his wife off a few times. He cut, moving on. And he also used his lack of fatherly knowledge as an excuse. I didn't know. But he sounded very knowledgeable that day. He sounded very confident and very knowledgeable that day. T.I. believes that he was protecting his daughter. And I feel like the ladies at the table kind of convinced him of that. And I don't think he was protecting anybody. I wish Jada would have let him talk for himself a little bit more. I feel like she was kind of trying to figure it out, and I get it, but let him talk. I'm not going to get into how women pacify men. I'm not going to get into that. I did say that to myself. Like, as women, we have to let men talk. We have to let men be accountable for the shit that they do and say. And just because we know it all, and just because we think we know what they're going to do, we're smart, independent, strong women, doesn't mean that we have a right to speak for men. Like, I feel like she should have let him speak for himself and let him hold himself accountable for what he said. A lot of pacifying. Again, put the pacifier, be quiet, put in your, a lot of that, He also was using his most negative perception of men or boys as another excuse for what he did. He called, he said something, chubby fingered little boys. I don't want his chubby little fingers on my daughter. This type of language is, again, just making boys and men look like villains against his daughter, and his daughter is an innocent deer in the forest, and someone's gonna prey on her. And this is the wrong perception to have of your own child. Why do you look at your daughter as prey or something like that? That's something that needs to be kind of situated and ironed out. The fact that you look at men as bad and your daughter is innocent and easy to prey on, my God, how do you think she feels about herself if that's your idea of her sexually? Maybe she anyway. I also want to make a statement. I think that T.I.'s perception of the words "my daughter" is a little warped. I feel like he feels like he owns her. Something I noticed he said in his original statement, story, whatever. He goes, she enjoys her gifts, and then I put a sticky note on her door, gynecologist, 9 o'clock, 9:30 or whatever. She enjoys her gifts, he said, right before he said that statement. So I find, not just with T.I., but with men in general that have money, that are the breadwinners, that, they got, I do it all. I give you cars, house, blah, blah, blah. I'm big shot. I own you. That's what I feel like. Because when he said that statement, right next to it, it made me feel like she's enjoying her gifts, and then we're gonna do what I want to do, because look what you have, look what I can provide for you. Things are gonna go my way, and that's it. Like, I believe, if my memory is correct, he's a bit controlling. He sounds a bit controlling. And again, you don't know the extent of that control because you're on TV. So maybe he's not, people are not going to go nuts on TV. They might, but people are not going to show their whole selves on TV. We have to be aware of this. People don't just roll out their evil on national TV. They don't do it. You might see that at home or, behind closed doors. So moving on. He uses words like extreme care. He says things like, you either are protective or not protective. So it's two extremes with him. Either you are protective or you're not. He doesn't feel like there's a balance anywhere in between that. There's no gray when it comes to protection, which I don't agree. I think you can be a little crazy. He also says things like protect them from themselves. He wants to protect his children from themselves until they're old enough to, when he said stuff like that, I feel like maybe he has had some type of abuse in his past where he's afraid because maybe he suffered from abuse somehow, or he's witnessed abuse because he's traumatized by something that may not have even happened. Like maybe nothing even happened to his kids, but he witnessed something and he's experienced something that he is fearing may happen. So maybe there's some history of abuse there. Moving along, Jada goes, you're trying to protect her virginity or something like that, she says. And he goes, no, that's not what I'm doing. And I said to myself, well, why was her hymen a topic of discussion if it had nothing to do with her virginity? Why were words like virginity being used? Moving along, there's not much. I think he was better off just leaving this whole situation alone. I think it was, and I hate to say this, I think it was a cheap publicity stunt. I don't like it. Maybe it was a publicity stunt gone wrong. But he also mentioned he wants education and he didn't know this about the hymen. And he clearly mentioned in his first discussion on the Ladies Like Us podcast that he knew, the doctor educated him that there's other things. He clearly stated a list of things that the doctor told him, clear as day, very confidently, other ways that the hymen could be broken. And he said that in the original interview. So I don't think that he doesn't know. I think he's saying that he doesn't know. Honestly, I think he has some unrealistic parenting expectations. I think he's, a little too harsh. The expectations. And again, this can all come from his own parenting. And no way am I coddling him. I think that he was coddled on the show, but I'm not coddling him by saying that. But people who are usually abuse if the abuse effect is not corrected, or you're not talking to somebody about it and trying to get correction on your thoughts, or even if you don't believe that you need correction, maybe you think that this is okay because it was done to you. This happens a lot. This is not anything crazy, right? Yeah, that's my thoughts on it. I'm gonna go ahead and play the original conversation. I'm going to call it a night. I don't have much more to say, but thank you for listening, and like and subscribe and share. Let me know what you think in the comment section, and have a beautiful evening. Bye-bye.
On the way home.
I was a virgin, okay? But,
I heard about when girls will say they virgins, like what they do. You guys have contingencies.
What's that? Like what?
There are contingencies and alternative routes.
Oh, Lord. So have you had the sex talk with your daughters?
Have I? We go
Which, by the way, your daughters are so beautiful.
Thank you.
So beautiful.
Thank you so much.
I'm sure you have your hands full.
And like the other one's 18, so she definitely knows about sex.
See,
but
this
I'm
is
just
the
like,
thing.
It's Deja, right? She's 18,
yes,
right?
Deja's 18, just graduated high school now, and she's attending her first year of college, figuring it out for herself. And yes, not only have we had the conversation, we have yearly trips to the gynecologist to check her height.
Oh,
hey, I'm done with you right now.
So, you know,
do you go with her? She's a prisoner.
Yes, I go with her.
Somebody check on Deja.
I go with her.
She's a prisoner.
So let me tell you, right? So this is one time we go. I think this might have been after her 16th birthday. And this is what we do. Like, right after the birthday, we celebrate. And,
we go and check her hymen after.
And then,
what the fuck?
usually like the day after the party, she's enjoying her gifts. I put a sticky note on the door. Guy knows. Tomorrow, 9:30.
Oh, this is great.
And so look, right? So we'll go. You know what I mean? We'll go and we'll sit down, and then the doctor will come and talk. And the doctor's maintaining a high level of professionalism. He's like, well, sir, I have to, in order for me to share information. I say, Deja, they want you to sign this. They want you to sign
this right now. I need to know if your hymen's still there.
So we can share information. Is there anything that you would not want me to know? Oh, okay. See, Doc, ain't no problem.
You are the worst.
And so then, right? Then they come and say, okay, well, I just want you to know that there are other ways besides sex that the hymen can be broken.
Right.
Like bike riding,
Really?
athletics, horseback riding.
that's aggressive.
That is aggressive writing.
Just other forms of athletic physical activity.
Is she an athlete?
No.
There you
So
go.
I say,
You're like, sorry,
I say,
Doc,
look,
that's
I say,
not a
look, Doc.
possibility.
I say, look, Doc.
She's not.
She don't ride no horses. She don't ride no bikes. She don't play no sports, man. Just check the hymen, please, and give me back my results.
Oh,
Expeditiously.
No. Expeditiously.
But I will say, as of her 18th birthday, her hymen is still intact.
Oh, my
Deja, you are an angel.